Toon Jam. Toon Jam. Hello, spooky fans. To another spooky episode of Toon Jam. Sorry, I know that was probably a bit too frightening for you. We are in week 2 of Spooky Month here at Toon Jam, and today we are covering Toonsylvania. But before we begin, I should probably introduce us. I am Matt.
And I'm Jamie.
And yes, today we are talking about Toonsylvania. So a little bit of information if you've never heard of Toonsylvania. Toonsylvania is an animated television series which ran for 2 seasons in 1998 on the Fox Kids network blog, usually placed in a block called the No Yell Motel that contained other scary kids shows such as Goosebumps and Erie, Indiana.
Ooh.
Pair of classics right there. In its first season, that was in its first season. Then it moved to Monday afternoons in September until January 1999 when it was cancelled, and it was executive produced in part by Steven Spielberg as DreamWorks' first animated series. So this was sort of I guess one of their last sort of cartoon series in this style.
Yeah.
Everything since has been sort of, well, I think Freakazoid is maybe after this, but then after that Steven Spielberg sort of stopped doing cartoons, didn't he, really? Until recently when they're re-releasing Animaniacs. So that's soon. So that is exciting, but that's a different show for another time. The show had recurring cartoon series that appeared in each episode. Unlike Animaniacs, Toonsylvania did not have a wide range of characters, and almost every episode had the same content. The main segments were Frankenstein, The Night of the Living Fred, and Attack of the Killer Bee movies, as well as Melissa Screech. So we saw a few of the Frankenstein ones, which is the sort of Frankenstein's monster, the Doctor Frankenstein himself, and Igor. Yeah. And they're kind of the main characters, really, aren't they? They're like the Animaniacs of Toonsylvania. Yeah. We saw Night of the Living Fred. That's Fred Deadman. And he has a family of dead people, seemingly. Deadwood Deadman. And what's the name of his mum? She's got a hilarious name as well. Let me find it, because it's Stephanie Deadman. So yeah, that's we didn't see Attack of the Killer Bee movies. No. But we did see Melissa Screech as well. Yeah. She's basically a brattish, bullyish girl in ne'er-do-well tales. So moving on to a little bit of information. In season 2, Bill Kopp and Jeff DeGrandis, who are sort of the showrunners, left and were replaced by Paul Rugg, who is known for Freakazoid. The series format changed into more of a sitcom style, with Igor, Dr. Vic Frankenstein, and Phil, who is the monster, interacting with a variety of new characters, including a snooping next-door neighbour, Seth Tuber, voiced by Jonathan Harris, who is the Doctor from the original Lost in Space. He was a Norman Bates-esque character, right, who is, the villain in Psycho. Spoiler alert. He interacted with his immobile mother by putting his hand over his mouth and talking into it. There was also a typical Transylvanian angry mob that was, in fact, a cheerful group of Beatles-esque hipsters. Most of the new characters were voiced by Paul Rugg, who's also improvised many of their lines. The only other backup segments to rematerialize in season 2 were the B-movie parodies. Those some episodes of Night of Living Fred were aired as well, and Melissa Screech had a new segment called The Melissa Screech Show. Whenever she was disappointed with a friend or family member, she would go home and cover herself under her bedsheets where she pretended to host a show. She then had her transgressor on as a guest and often did away with them in an ironic manner. There was a video game on the Game Boy Color.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In 2000. There was also some action figures and some Burger King toys.
Oh, nice.
So I don't know if you had any of them. Did you ever watch this show, or do you remember it at all?
I don't think so. No, it doesn't really ring a bell. Like, but obviously because it's a Steven Spielberg one, like it seems very familiar. But that's just because it's in the style of like Animaniacs and stuff. So
yeah. I think I've seen it. I think I might have caught a few episodes because it was all weirdly familiar.
Yeah.
But there's obviously not many episodes, so in total there are 21 whole episodes.
Right.
So 13 episodes in season 1 and 8 episodes in season 2. So enough to rerun them, I suppose, but
yeah,
you know, it wouldn't have been on for long, I don't think.
No.
I mean, I suppose it was sort of 2000. I get when was the spooky height? Would you say late 90s or?
Yeah,
I feel like so. When was Goosebumps? That's got to be
that was mid to late sometime.
92 to 97. So this was probably just after the spooky hype.
Right.
The peak spooky time. Obviously still a bit of interest, but not as much. So maybe that helped. Because, I mean, it seems weird that it got cancelled.
Yeah.
Because it's very similar to his other stuff. It's not like, you know, notably like terrible. We've seen worse cartoons with more episodes easily.
Oh yeah.
So that's a first thing I sort of thought about it. I mean, to sort of go it like if you've never seen it before, it is essentially, I would say, the same layout as Animaniacs.
Yeah.
It's those little sketches, those little segments. There's not as many different ones. But it does have that pretty much the same, you know, you get a few segments. And it's got a good cast as well. So like the main characters, you've got David Warner, who is one of those guys that you would just know. Like you might not know him by name, but when you see a picture of him, you might be like, yeah, or you'll have heard him in another cartoon. Wayne Knight, who's in, you know, Seinfeld, Jurassic Park, Third Rock from the Sun, Toy Story. And Brad Garrett, who is the brother from Everybody Loves Raymond. Just to name a few. And there's more, you know, you've got Billy West in there.
Yeah.
Obviously Paul Rugg.
Yeah.
Second season loads. So there's
in there and some people.
Yeah. There's loads. And so immediately it feels like a big cartoon in a way, doesn't it? It feels like it should be known.
Exactly, yeah. It's like it's got all the elements of something that you've A, watched before, and B, probably enjoyed before.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, it's weird that it wasn't bigger and broader, because it does just feel like another Spielberg thing, but it's spooky as well. So you think that would give it an added element of, you know, enjoyment to it.
And it maybe it is just on that curve of like it's going out of fashion. But obviously Universal, they own a lot of the sort of, they created the monster movies, didn't they? So things like Dracula, Frankenstein, the werewolf, Wolfman.
Yeah.
they're all Universal films, and they're always trying to push anything they can to do with that sort of franchise.
That's it.
But I guess, I don't know, yeah, it just didn't seem to land, and people just don't seem to know. I mean, like when I saw it, it was like a distant memory. Oh yeah, I think I remember this.
Which I guess means that it wasn't that memorable the first time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean the animation is pretty much, it is just like very similar to Animaniacs.
Yeah.
Like it's high quality.
Mm.
Like the art style is very similar.
Yeah. It's in the main stuff. Yeah. The what's his name? Dead Fred or
Deadman. Yeah, Fred Deadman stuff.
That's different, isn't it?
Yeah, that's really different. And as well, I would probably say that was my favourite bit.
Yeah, I'd say so too.
So the bit we watched, it's called A Dead Dog Day Afternoon.
Yeah.
That was the episode we watched with Fred Deadman, and he basically has a dead dog on a skateboard, and he's just like making his day, playing with him and throwing stuff for him, even though he's dead. And then he enters him into some sort of like amateur crufts.
Yeah.
And then I love that, like he fails every single test.
Yeah, gets a 0 on everything, doesn't he?
Yeah, like they rate it like a diving competition or something.
Yeah.
And then, but you can basically win it just by performing stay for the longest. And obviously, because he's dead, he doesn't move and wins the competition. But I think there's so much in that episode. It's like, so it can't be longer than it's about 7 minutes or something.
Yeah.
And it gets to a point where it really hits home that he is a dead dog.
Yeah.
like at first you're just kind of chuckling, and then you're like, it's weird that there's a cartoon, and it really, like after a while you start to really think like that. It's weird because that is dead.
Yeah.
Like that is a dead dog.
It's funny every time it's on screen because it's just so static. It just doesn't. It's so solid with its rigor mortis. There's no life to it whatsoever. It's pretty funny to see.
For me, that was the sort of. I mean, it's interesting because the animation looks cheaper.
Yeah.
It felt like they added that in almost to curb the budget a little bit.
Yeah.
But it is the funniest, and it's got like Billy West's voice.
Yeah.
Is it's basically just like some dead dog.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what he's chosen to do with it, isn't it?
That's it.
And I just thought it just worked really well.
Yeah.
I liked the main ones. Wayne Knight plays Igor. Well, he's basically some angry assistant that hates, Vic Frankenstein. The monster's just a lummox that helps him out.
Yeah.
Capers ensue.
That's it. Is his name like Phil in Stein or something?
Yeah, it might be. Yeah.
Because he's called Phil, isn't he? But he's clearly
Phil.
like a Frankenstein or something. So I guess that was the pun there.
Yeah, Phillenstein. Yeah, Philistine. Yeah. didn't that one be before that one? Now I've just got it. Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's pretty good.
But that's it. The humor is, pretty spot on what you'd expect from a Spielberg cartoon.
Yeah. I felt like their segments, though, it seemed to go on, or they at least felt like they were a lot longer than they needed.
Yeah, I think they were longer than the others as well. But they definitely tried to make more of these characters.
Yeah.
And you wonder if that's sort of why, why it had that downfall. It could have done with more characters.
Yeah.
And it could have done with more likable main characters. Because it's almost like Phil is likable.
Yeah.
But Frankenstein and Igor are both not really likable characters.
No.
And visually, obviously, because they're monsters,
Mm.
visually those two don't look like that. His like I couldn't help but notice, like, their teeth are so horrible.
Yeah, always.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know why, but Frankenstein, like Dr. Frankenstein's teeth are so. He's like a meth head. They're just like, it's like they're coming out of his gums slightly. There's something weird about him, which is obviously the point, and it works really well. But I think, you know, as a kid, you like those, like I used to like the monsters when they looked more like monsters.
Yeah.
So Frankenstein, you'd have liked because he's, you know, in this he's like blue. He's a, you know, an odd shape. But it could have done with like, I mean, I know his granny turned into a werewolf or something like that, but like the main characters being looking more visually different, maybe.
Yeah, I know what you mean. For saying it was like a monster show and stuff, there wasn't that much variation in what the characters look.
It felt a bit like the plots were almost like they could have been done with any group of characters.
Yeah.
And they just drew monsters to do it. Because I feel like, to be fair, weirdly, one of the episodes, so you know the one with they create this monster baby, who's like a Frankenstein baby, but is also just eats everything.
Yeah.
But it reminded me a lot of Transylvania Pet Shop.
Yeah, definitely.
Because the episode we watched of that, isn't that what happened?
I think it's like a pet or something, I guess, doesn't it?
But it ate everything, didn't it?
Yeah, it's virtually the same thing. And oddly, like the one with the granny reminded me of Courage the Cowardly Dog, because like the granny looked kind of a lot like Uriel. As soon as she gets there, she sits in a rocking chair, and like there's just like weird spooky things happening, and they spend the whole episode trying to hide the spooky things from the rest of them, which is like most of the time that's kind of what Courage is doing to save the rest of them from. So it was weird that like maybe a couple shows have borrowed from this, or this is borrowed from some other stuff. Like it felt a bit like, oh, that's odd. Like
and I mean I think that was their biggest issue for me, was that there were at times it just didn't actually feel like it was embracing its own spookiness.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's particularly in its stories. There was good bits. Like I thought the episode. So we saw 2 episodes with these guys with the main characters. The first one with the baby eating everything. The second one where the granny is a werewolf, and every time she sees the moon or anything moon related, or she turns into a werewolf. The granny one I thought was much better.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And I liked that it had like those moments of Spielberg type humor, you know, where it almost like one of the moons was the DreamWorks logo.
Yeah.
Like that made me chuckle and stuff like that. There were a few bits that really made me chuckle.
Yeah, when he was like he drops a napkin under the table and it takes him forever to like get the napkin.
You just keep knocking it down.
Yeah, they keep like throwing it back every time he brings it back up, and it's just like the most prolonged scene of something that would take 2 seconds, just for the sake of like having that whole thing. It's pretty funny. Like.
And then it's just like his comments afterwards, like, "Oh, that was took me a surprisingly long time."
Yeah.
I think the humor was there. And to a degree, the characters were there. Maybe not enough visually, and maybe it was lacking in a few certain areas. But I think the biggest downfall is it was too bright for its spookiness. Like, I mean, it's like, you know, you watch Addams Family.
Yeah.
That is sort of a similar wheelhouse to this, or should be, but they somehow managed to make it less about spooky stuff with more spookiness involved than this did.
Yeah,
because this is all set in spooky places and stuff, like the Addams Family go out and, you know, live in the real world.
That's it.
And I think this just didn't manage to quite capture that, and I think that's why the Deadman stuff is so good, because
it was like ordinary stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it knew what it was doing, and it just did it, and it was like the jokes here, and it wasn't trying to be spooky, it was just silly dead jokes.
Yeah.
and it just lands a little bit better than the main sort of has. The Melissa Screech one, I didn't. That was the throwaway, really.
Yeah, I didn't really get anything out of that, to be honest.
Not a likable character.
No.
I suppose it was, but it was only a small segment.
Yeah.
So it didn't really matter too much. It was like 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
But the thing about that is, like, most of the time, and if you compare that to like Animaniacs and stuff, those ones are always really good. Like the little weird ones in between, like that little girl that's always asking why all the time, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like they're always ones that you're like, oh yeah, I remember that, because sometimes they're not in every episode, are they? So like, you'll see them, you're like, oh yeah, here's that one. And
it's almost like
don't really want it there.
Yeah, it is like a half-hearted effort of making another Animaniacs set in a spooky world, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's like this could have been a segment in Animaniacs, like the Animaniacs went to Frankenstein's lab or whatever, and then it just cuts to these guys doing whatever while they oversee it.
Yeah,
because I don't think it had too much to like hold it together. Like I think the main stuff. It would have
been an okay, like the main guys would have been okay as a side story.
Yeah.
Like they had everything. All they needed was a new set of main characters that were more likable, and you could just like they basically needed a spooky Animaniacs group.
Yeah.
Not obviously exactly the same, but something like that was a bit more, because you have all the side characters in Animaniacs, and there's some that you're like, yeah, whatever. There's Pinky and the Brain, which are they stand up. There's like the dog and the cat.
Oh yeah.
They were funny, but they're not your favourite, are they?
No.
So and there's all those sort, and these are like them. Like it was funny, but it wouldn't be your favourite.
No, you wouldn't sit and wait for them, would you?
No.
Yeah, and I think the difference as well is that there's no, like you say about the spookiness, they didn't really push the boat out on, like they didn't really go all out on sort of like how wacky it got either, which is like obviously what Animaniacs did massively, and what Freakazoid does and stuff. Like it didn't really get to like new levels of absurd in any way. It just felt kind of very like watered down. It's almost like exactly what you'd expect from it, like going in. It didn't really do anything that surprised you. I didn't feel like.
I think it's one of those things. If this had come before Animaniacs, it would be. I think people will remember it differently. But the trouble is, and we've done it pretty much the whole episode. You compare it straight away.
Yeah,
it's the same format. It's the same like creators near enough. It's the same. It's almost the same animation style. Slightly changed, but pretty much the same. And it's got all that, but it just doesn't have as much. So it's kind of like, if it come before, then you'd be like, yeah, that's great. And then Animaniacs is even better.
Yeah.
But because it's afterwards, it kind of feels a bit like, I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've had a good chinwag about it there. So let's wind it up and let's go straight to our reviews. Hello there, sir. How can I help you today? You looking for a pet?
Hi. Yeah. I was looking to get a new little family friend today. Seeing what you guys have.
Right place. Dead Great Pets is. We've got all sorts for you. Well, what kind of thing were you looking at? Something easy, or something that you really form a companionship with?
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of an easygoing guy, so I don't really want to be busy with it all week. I mean, I guess something like fish are kind of like the easiest, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can't go wrong with a fish, and I mean, staple goldfish.
Yeah.
Great little companion. You get the bowl. I mean, we've got one right here. See him there floating about.
Yeah, he's floating. He's really good at floating.
Yeah, he floats on the surface. That's because he's dead.
Oh, Oh, like dead.
Yeah, yep. So he's dead, and he'll just float there. But it's great. You don't have to feed him.
Okay.
You still have to clean the bowl out.
Hmm.
Probably more so now that he's dead.
Right.
But he has been varnished, so he shouldn't rot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's very shiny. Very
Yeah,
shiny.
yeah. So I mean, we do all sorts of fish, but the goldfish is a favourite.
Yeah, I don't really like the idea of having to clean the tank out more.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess fish aren't really like the friendliest. They're not really like the big family pets, are they? Maybe you want something a little cuddlier, a little.
Yeah.
I see
No,
you
I
got the
understand
hutchies and
that.
stuff over here.
Yeah. So, I mean, what were you looking at? Which were you
I
thinking?
mean, maybe something small, maybe something little. Have you got like like my friend once had like a chinchilla or
Oh,
something. You got one of those guys?
chinchilla. I mean, they are usually a lot of work, but if you come over here, I mean, they come in quite big cages,
Oh
so it's
yeah, okay.
multiple levels. This guy will sit probably in the middle, maybe wherever you want him to sit, really, because
Oh okay.
he's dead, and
Oh,
he's a lovely little guy. Um, Looks so adorable, don't you think?
yeah, he does. He's very still.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
still.
And I
Um,
mean that's what's great about a dead pet is that you know it's quiet, it's nice.
mhm.
You've got the companionship there, but you don't have to have the same amount of responsibility.
Yeah, he still looks cuddly. I think I kind of see the appeal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So I mean, maybe I'll get something a little bit bigger because
Okay. So
they
yeah,
don't take as much work, do they? These guys, they're very sleepy, I suppose.
yeah, absolutely. So I mean, chinchilla obviously, as far as your small pets, is quite a big one. The only
Mm.
real bigger small pet, I mean, obviously we've got dogs, we've got cats, but if you're looking for something in between that, we've got house rabbits. They're quite big.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Is that something you'd like to come and have a look at?
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
Okay.
I've always been into like magic and stuff, so the rabbits always appealed to me. Yeah.
Oh well, this one. I mean, we've got a big white one, so
Yeah. Oh, wow.
she's
Wow,
lovely.
he
It's
is.
of it, like you can see. I mean, she's just, she looks rested, uh,
Yeah.
fairly comfy where she is, still
Hmm.
soft, and she's dead. So,
Right.
cleaning is not a worry. All you have to, you want to make sure you have a lot of formaldehyde and
Right. Yeah.
bleach. I mean, you'll notice the strong stench of bleach in the shop.
Yeah. It really. Yeah. I wasn't gonna say anything, but it reeks of bleach in here. Yeah.
Yeah,
Really
and,
does.
and that's just to keep all these dead animals
Mm.
from stinking the place out. To be honest, but I
Yeah.
mean, once you get the bleach, what's great about it is obviously I take it you've got a toilet at home.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Of
Yeah,
course.
yeah. I mean, most modern day homes will have one, and all you have to do is when you clean the toilet, get the bleach, take
Hmm.
it to the pet as well.
Right.
Give the hutch a little, drizzle of bleach.
You can use the
Yeah,
same bleach.
it's
Yeah.
yeah. So and we do sell bleach. Yes, yeah, we absolutely do. We've got Ocean Breeze,
Oh,
Fresh
nice.
Pine, Lemon Zest,
Oh, that's my favorite.
and
Yeah.
Raspberry Bush as well. So all of
Oh,
these, I mean, they still smell nice and bleachy, but they've
yeah.
got a nice little tint, so you can have it smelling vaguely of Raspberry Bush or an Ocean Breeze.
Yeah, that's quite cool. Yeah, I like that idea because so I do the toilet cleaning and then I do the dead pet cleaning, just like a 1-2, just a
Yeah,
quick. Yeah, okay. Yeah. No, I like that idea. Yeah, maybe I'll
yeah.
go with a rabbit then. That seems
Okay
like a
then.
good idea.
Did you want the hutch as well?
Yeah. Oh, that would be great. Yeah, I'll take the hutch because it looks really good just kind of in the middle of it.
Oh
Like,
yeah, it's just the most appealing bit, and when people come round, they won't
mm,
even know that she's dead.
no,
So it's
no.
great. It's great.
Oh,
All
thank
right,
you so
well,
much.
I'll bag this up for you, and we'll finish this transaction right now. So here at Toon we have a 3-point rating system that goes as follows. thumbs up, dead dogs at Crufts.
Yeah.
Thumbs down, actually having dead dogs at Crufts, and shaky middle, just the concept of it. So good, bad, and not really sure about that. So, Toonsylvania, we've got a good glimpse of it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I think I liked the premise going in. You know, it's very spooky on the surface. The cast is really cool to have, like, some, you know, pretty big hitters in there, as far as, you know, from TV to just voice acting and stuff. So it's nice, a nice environment for the characters, and those friendly voices. There's some definitely really cool, like, recognizable ones in there as well, and like odd tones that you hear, and like old Spielberg cartoons and stuff. So it was like, that was good. But I think as far as like the stuff we saw the most of, which was like Igor and Frankenstein stuff, it just wasn't. I don't think like there were it didn't feel like there were as many gags there, maybe, or the pace wasn't quite fast enough, or it wasn't quite as mental as some of the other stuff that you'd be comparing. So it kind of felt a bit flat, I think, most of the time. For a Deadman stuff, that was pretty funny. I enjoyed that. Like it was like nicely weird, and it was like oddly uplifting for saying that everyone was dead most of the time. So like it had its good bits and bad bits, but I think when, you know, initially going in, you can't help but think, this is very much like Animaniacs or whatever.
Yeah.
So and it doesn't quite get there, I don't think. For whatever reason it is, it's just not quite there. So I think for me it's going to be a shaky middle on this one.
Shaky middle.
Yeah, it was good, but I think there's definitely room for, they could have, you know, pushed it out a bit more, gone a bit weirder with it, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree. I agree with you, but I do think it almost suffers from the fact that Animaniacs come before it. You can't help but compare it. But when I was watching it, I enjoyed it, and I think the gags were there. I think the main issue is the lack of a spooky thing,
Right.
Which is obviously, you know, we're watching it from a point of view is like it's spooky month. This has not turned out that spooky. We wanted more spooky, but as a cartoon itself, I thought it was funny. You know, I liked some of the characters in it. I really liked Deadman stuff. And you know, the voice acting, the animation quality was all really good. It perhaps isn't as good as some of the other stuff they've done. So we've watched, you know, Tiny Toons, Animaniacs, Freakazoid, and Taz.
Yeah.
Tasmania, but I would put it probably on par with Tasmania. So for me, I'm going to give it a thumbs up. It is a low thumbs up.
Yeah.
And it is bordering shaky middle, but I still think, you know, it was good. It was enjoyable.
Good enough. Yeah.
I am still surprised it didn't last any longer than it did. Just because I know it's not as good as the others, but it's still, you know, good enough.
Yeah, I think as a kid, objectively, it would be good. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So I think it was a surprise that it had been cancelled. So yeah, I'm going to give it an up. So an up in the middle. It's a pretty good rating.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
So far, we've had a nice, good little spooky month. We've got 2 weeks left of spooky month. So let's see how it goes. Will the spook stay spooky? Last year we had a pretty grim spooky month.
Yeah.
It wasn't as good. It was all like monsters in my pocket and
oh boy, I forgot about that one.
and Transylvania Pet Shop. So, you know, probably an upgrade from Transylvania Pet Shop.
Oh yeah.
So we shall see how it goes. Maybe we'll get luckier this year. Maybe it will dip the same way. We shall see. Thank you for joining us again. It's been a blast and a spooky one at that. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please feel free to rate and review us on whatever it is you listen to. It really, really helps us out. It's costs you absolutely nothing. Takes 2 seconds. It is awesome for us. So please do that. If you're well into it and you want to get even more, head over to our Patreon, where we've got bonus episodes for your book. We're going to be diving into a sports season soon. We've just finished up our video game season, and all the episodes are on there, so you can go back and listen to them all and enjoy it at your own pace. Otherwise, if you want to get in touch with us on the 3 tombstones of the internet, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at ToonJamPod, feel free to get in touch. If you want to recommend any episodes or just want to say hi, that's where we are. But until next time, thanks again for joining us, and you stay spooky.
Hey everyone, thank you for listening. If you want to help the show keep going, you can be extra jammy by heading over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/toonjampod. Here you can get a shout out on the show or unlock bonus episodes. Ratings and reviews anywhere you listen to the podcast also really help us out. So thank you, and stay jammy.